Welcome back everyone, it's me. Do you remember this? The PTRS-41. This is basically an anti-tank rifle for World War II used by the Soviet Union. Now, in its configuration of 14.5 by 114mm cartridge, let's just take that in for a second. 14.5mm, hence why it was such a good anti-tank gun for its day, especially against the armor that it was initially going against. But now let's look at this and put it into a machine gun. Yes, today we are talking about the absolutely beastly, and I have to say this in every sense of the word, beastly machine gun known as the KPV. This is the most gorgeous machine gun. Now, I do love my Western machine guns. The 50 caliber, I've used it myself in Afghanistan. It's an incredible piece of hardware, but when you talk about heavy machine guns, this guy truly is the daddy-o of all heavy machine guns. I would actually say it's almost like a cannon. The Bushmaster systems that exist, the heavier duty 25mm, we're getting pretty close to that limit of cannon versus heavy machine gun, and this thing truly is the beast of the Russian military. Now, it is utilized in both a mounted and somewhat dismounted configuration, but primarily it is placed upon vehicles just due to the nature of how big this damn thing is. It does have a baby brother known as the Cord, which I have done a video on, so I'd strongly encourage you to go check that video out too, because it is just as an impressive heavy machine gun as this absolute behemoth. But let's get into a little bit of its technicalities, where it came from, its history, and its service in the Russian military. So the KPV 14.5mm heavy machine gun, known for its formidable power, was originally developed in the Soviet Union during World War II by the talented designer Vasily Degratov. I'm hopefully saying that correctly. Initially designed as an aircraft weapon, the KPV was later adapted for infantry use due to its high effectiveness and versatility. The weapon was in development as far back as 1944, and the 14.5 cartridge was used in both the Simonov PTRS and the Degratov PTRD anti-tank rifles, as I had mentioned before. Since its introduction in 1949, the KPV has gone into fielding in vehicles, coaxially in tanks, and anti-aircraft guns, including naval watercraft. The design of the KPV emphasized robustness and reliability under harsh conditions, features that were critical on the Eastern Front. The machine gun was equipped with a heavy barrel that could withstand extended periods of firing without significant loss of accuracy due to overheating. This capability made it exceptionally suitable for engaging light armored vehicles and fortified positions at very long ranges. The development of the KPV also underscored an innovative approach to ammunition use. It was one of the few weapons at the time to utilize the powerful 14.5mm cartridge, which provided with superior penetration capabilities compared to other heavy machine guns of the era and its counterparts. The integration of such heavy ammunition required meticulous engineering to ensure recoil mechanisms, and the feed systems were both reliable, robust, and durable enough to withstand such heavy pressures of this caliber. The adaptability of the KPV also was a testament to its design excellence. Due to the nature of being put on just about anything from ships to tanks, it has so much capability of being utilized in so many different configurations. This versatility has made the KPV a valued asset in the arsenals of various countries well beyond the lifespan of its original design. The machine gun stands out due to its exceptional technical specifications, which contribute to its reputation as one of the most powerful and reliable guns ever made. Weighing at a hefty 49 kilograms without its mount and overall length of around 2,000mm or 2 meters, the KPV is a formidable weapon by any measure in any standing. At the core of its design of that cartridge is a considerably larger and more powerful cartridge than any other machine gun, and the engineering to go around to secure that cartridge in its chamber and hold that pressure was substantial. It was very good at armor penetration and up to 40mm of rolled homogeneous armor at ranges up to 500 meters. The capability is particularly noteworthy considering the evolving designs of light armored vehicles during and after World War II. In today's configuration, certainly not as more powerful to engage armored vehicles, especially with the modernized armor packages we have today, but certainly something that can take out buildings or softer skinned vehicles without absolutely no problem at all. The effective range is quite remarkable, reaching up to 3,000 meters in an indirect capability, basically meaning the beating zone of this thing is incredible. Of course, in a 4 mount like this, you're actually getting incredible anti-aircraft use, and even with the 2-wheel configuration, you could use it almost as like a sniper rifle for extremely long ranges to take out soft-skinned vehicles or infantry, but in its aircraft configuration, certainly did a lot of damage at extended ranges for low-flying aircraft. It did make a very good capability as well for tanks. Yes, it could actually be used as a coaxial gun with a 14.5mm coax. That's wild. That is absolutely wild. But what they did find for using of this particular weapon system is that it actually was not as useful than having something a little smaller, because a coax is used through range and to secure infantry, and on a heavy tank it's just not as useful because you want something that has a lot of ammunition, and 14.5mm in a turret takes up a lot of space. But for armored vehicles like the BTRs and BDRMs, a lot more useful to be able to utilize in a reconnaissance standpoint, put a few rounds down range and bug out of there. Now, the system was air-cooled, which was a lot simpler and lighter than a more heavy-duty water-cooled system that some mechanisms of guns that were being trialled at the time, but it did require careful management during prolonged fire to avoid overheating. Now, the barrels could be changed, and its design really gave a great advantage because it was fairly easy to maintain, to strip down, to get back into action. That barrel was interchangeable, so you could pull it out, and it would mitigate some of that heat buildup. But it wasn't as simple as what you may perceive as similar to like a 50 caliber, where you just take a handle, pop it over, and off you go. This was a little bit more work to get that barrel out of there, but it could still be done. And if you were using this as a sort of mounted configuration, it would be harder to do, of course, because when you're in a vehicle, you want to stay inside, you don't want to get shot at. But if you're putting this in a standalone built-up position, or in a trench or a bunker, you would have the ability to be able to exchange barrels on this system quite nicely, because you would be using this as extended, prolonged periods of fire, and that barrel will be able to be popped out. Now, it's not as simple as just a quick catch and off it comes. There is a tool that's required. It does get very stiff, and you got to remember that when this thing has been putting enough rounds down range, it's going to be extremely hot, so the metal's going to expand and maybe a challenge to get off. But the engineers and the designers of this machine gun went to town on making sure that this could be dismantled and to exchange that barrel very easily. Even with a little tap of the hammer, it could be done. And this is a game changer for the technology at the time and the tolerances that they were utilizing for technology to machine these kind of barrels. It did exactly what they needed it to do to make you exchange that barrel without any problems. So this gave it a huge, capability on the battlefield. You could keep it rolling with rounds down range over and over and over again. Now, the operational history of this machine gun is extensive and very impressive. Since its introduction in the Soviet military in the 1940s, it's been widespread use in numerous conflicts around the globe, really cementing its reputation as a very reliable heavy machine gun, still utilized today. During the Cold War, the KPV was a standard heavy machine gun with the Soviet Union's arsenal and was widely distributed amongst its allies and satellite states. Now let's talk ammunition a little bit. This weapon system had 3 cartridges primarily supported for it. The B-32 round was an armored-piercing incendiary type with a tungsten core useful for penetrating the armor of most modern light vehicles. The BZT cartridge is similar but carried a steel core, and the MDZ cartridge was a high-explosive incendiary round for general-purpose usage. In general, if any of these cartridges are coming towards you or your vehicle, yeah, you're going to have a bad day. Even if you're a heavily armored vehicle, with that amount of metal hitting against the side of your vehicle, it's going to cause you to have a bit of a stir, okay? It doesn't matter what armored package you have on you. This is certainly not going to be the ting, ting, ting off the side of your steel. It's going to make you wake up. The KPV has evolved through its various variants and upgrades since its initial introduction, adapting to the changing needs of modern warfare for the Russian military while maintaining its core capabilities. The most notable variant is the KPV-T, which is basically modified for armored vehicles. The KPV-T retains the powerful ballistic characteristics of the original KPV, but features several adaptations suited for vehicle use. It is equipped with a heavier, more robust mounting system and an electrically triggered firing mechanism, allowing for the integration into the cramped turret spaces of tanks and armored personnel carriers. This variant also incorporates a slightly longer barrel, enhancing its effective range and accuracy at longer distances. Another significant development is the incorporation of modern sighting systems. Originally, the KPV was equipped with a relatively simple iron sight, but recent upgrades include the addition of sophisticated optical and night vision sights that can be mounted, and these enhancements have significantly improved target acquisition and accuracy of this system, making the KPV more effective in low light conditions and against camouflage targets. In addition to these variants, the KPV has also been mounted on naval and static defense platforms, proving that it can be very useful in different military branches, and the naval versions are often used in close-in weapon systems to defend against high-speed maneuvering targets such as speedboats, drones, and some low-flying aircraft, showcasing its continued relevance even in maritime security. The adaptability, though, of KPV through the various upgrades and variants demonstrates not only its original design being very, very robust, but that military engineers continue to want to innovate and repurpose this existing technology to keep it evolving for the operational requirements of today, meaning that although it's old, it's still doing exactly what they want it to do, and they're not going to reinvent the wheel. Why? It works. In a comparative analysis with other heavy machine guns, the KPV stands out for several reasons, particularly in its superior firepower and versatility. When benchmarked against the similar systems like the American M2 Browning, the cartridge of 14.5 by 114mm proves significantly greater armor penetration and effective range, making it uniquely capable as an anti-material role. As it's able to penetrate up to 40mm of armor at 500 meters, a capability that is markedly superior to the M2 Browning, which uses that 50 caliber cartridge, typically only effective against roughly 20 to 25mm of armor at the same range. This makes the KPV much more suitable for engaging modern light vehicles, which often really features for most armored vehicles today, especially in the 50 caliber mounted role on top of vehicles. It's their sort of standard. The KPV is kicking a little bit higher than that, but something to consider when you're utilizing a system of this kind is it inherently a little bit more complex, as you can see from this soldier trying to strip down this gun, and the cartridges themselves are a little bit more beefy to be carrying around and storing, so the logistics can be challenging as well. Moreover though, the effective range of the KPV reaching up to that 3,000 meters for area targets far exceeds that of most comparable heavy machine guns, whose effective ranges typically do not exceed around the 1,800 to 2,000 meter mark. This extended range gives massive capability and tactical advantages for those utilizing the machine gun. In terms of versatility though, the KPV's ability to be mounted on any type of platform, from infantry to ground mounts to naval and vehicle, really sets it apart. Now yes, the M2 Browning does have that capability as well, but it is standardized mostly for a cupola or not really utilized for a coaxial setup. It tends to be left to the GPMG or the M240 machine gun in the 7.62mm configuration. The KPV though really is not really designed as a coax anymore. They're trying to keep that to the cord system. But in terms of its anti-aircraft role, the ZPU was the towed anti-aircraft gun version of the KPV, and it did enter Soviet Union service in 1949 as well. There was the ZPU-1, which was single-barreled, of course 2 doubled, and then the ZPU-4, which was quadrupled. Certainly a very effective anti-aircraft gun for the time, but nowadays they're looking at more sort of the heavier duty Shilka systems, and of course the beautiful Tunguska. This weapon system is not able to compete with some of the systems that are being utilized for those guns. Now it's a bigger cartridge to get further ranges and more, deadly rounds to take out aircraft. Certainly not something that's going to be utilized at a standardized Russian anti-aircraft system anymore, but still back in its day it had some uses. So there we have it, folks, the KPV with that beautiful 14.5mm cartridge. I would love to hear your opinion on this weapon system. What do you think? Do you think this is one of the most formidable and powerful machine guns out there, or do you think there's something out there that's going to counter this one day? I do interestingly find that there's so much love to the 50 cal, but when you look at something like this and the cord, they are just absolutely domineering, in my opinion, over the 50 cal. I do love the M2 Browning. It is an incredible machine gun, but this is just next level. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you did enjoy the video, as always, the usual YouTube junk, click the like, hit subscribe, usual blah blah. I would like to thank everyone though who has been supporting me financially on both Patreon and my PayPal. Thank you so much for doing so. It really does mean a lot to me. It helps keep the channel going. And of course, check the description box below for all the different links and things for following my channel. Have a wonderful rest of your day. All the best. Bye bye.